Are you looking for a unique fun fold card? Well, today I'm sharing how I made a fun fold card with a unique flap. I'm Georgia with Creative Moments by G. Let's head down to the crafting table and let's get started. Here's the card that we're going to be working with today. Look at this fun fold. Has that unique flap attached to it. The first thing you're going to need to do is cut your base card. And your base card is simply 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. And then we're going to need a mat on the outside of our card, and that is simply 4 by 5 1/4. Well, let's go ahead and take that mat and let's go ahead and run it through our embossing machine, and we're going to use this fantastic embossed folder called The Hive. This is what it's going to look like. Look at that detail. Now, this is a 3D embossing folder, so it really provides a lot of detail. But when you put it down on your card, you need to make sure that you get enough glue in these crevices. And you will need to adhere this to the front of your card. Now we're going to go ahead and add some glue, but you might want to put down your silicone mat so that you don't get glue on your design table. So let's go ahead and make sure that we get enough glue to really get in those crevices. So we're just going to lay that on the front of our card. Now, I really like this monochromatic card. I think it really makes it look elegant. And because we're going to be dealing with the fall colors, that's the style that we wanted to select. Okay, now the next thing you need to do is we need to cut out a circle, and we're going to use 2 circles. We're going to use a 3-inch die and also a 2.5-inch die. Now you want to use the bigger die to cut out your circle. So we're going to lay this flat, and we're just going to put a little bit of tape on it, center it. Now you could put it up higher if you wanted to, and you want to put a sentiment down here. But for our purposes today, we're just going to center it in the middle of our card. And now I'm going to run it through the embossing machine and cut this out. So let's go ahead and just pop this circle out. Now make sure that you save that, because we're going to use that on the inside of our card. And so here we have the inside circle cut out of the front of our card. And now we're going to take just a moment, and we're going to make the flap that goes to the inside of the card. So what you need to do is take your paper, and we're going to use some designer series paper. And you're going to cut this flap 1.5 by 4 3/4. So let's go ahead and get our 4 3/4. And now we're simply going to cut it 1.5. Now, after we cut this, we need to go ahead and score on the long side, because this is going to be tucked underneath the inside mat. And so we're going to go ahead and score at 4. Make sure you move that cutting blade out of the way, and we can just fold that back. And now we have our flap. Let's go ahead and turn this into a banner. So a great tip for doing that, just get the center of the end of your strip and cut right down the center with your snips. And now we're going to cut from this corner to the very center, and you can see where it is. So we're just angling it to where we cut right to the center. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Take the tip and angle it, and there we have our banner that we want. Now you're going to bring in your inside mat, and this is simply 4 by 5 1/4. But I want to remind you, you can simply go over to our blog at creativemomentsbyg.com and get all the measurements, so you don't have to worry about that. Now look at how this goes inside. We simply center it, and we need to make sure that this is glued down before you glue down your mat. So let's look at that. And here we go. It's going to be just like this. So let's go ahead and get this glued down. Now, if you want to put a sentiment on the inside, which we do, let's go ahead and stamp that first. Now, the sentiment we have selected is endlessly grateful, and we took that from the very best occasions. This is a fantastic stamp set to have because it has sentiments for all occasions. So we love this stamp set. Now we're going to go ahead and stamp this in our Memento Black, but you need to know where to stamp it, right? So the way to do that is to go ahead and line your mat up on the inside, right where we want it. And we're simply going to draw a circle very lightly around so that we know where to stamp our message. And we know that this is going to go right in the middle, so we want to make sure that it's right in the middle of the circle. And the reason I drew this before I glued it down is just in case we make a mistake, we want to be able to get us another piece of paper. So that's another great tip. Try to stamp first before you glue it to your card. So I'm going to bring in my Memento Black, and we're just going to tap, tap, tap. We're going to center it, and you need to hold it long enough so that the ink transfers. And look at that. Now what we need to do is go ahead and erase this circle. Now we are ready to glue this on the inside, but first we need to attach this right to the center. So let's go ahead and just put a little bit of glue on that tab and fold it over. Now I made sure this was right in the center before I did that. Now we are simply going to glue this down. Okay, and now when you shut it, there we have that. Oh, this is so pretty. But now we have to decorate this area, right? And we are using the beautiful stamp set, Cottage Wreaths. Now this is wonderful because it has Christmas wreaths, but it also has fall and it has Halloween. So you can use this for all your holiday needs. We are going to stamp our wreath. I want to show you another great tip. Now this has a die with it when you buy the bundle. So what I did is I lined this up with the die so that I would know exactly how it gets lined up. So I went ahead and I lined it up this way. And now I know where I need to put my marks. So I went ahead and I just put a mark here and here on the other side, and I put a mark here and here. Now when I go to cut this out, I know exactly how to place it, because otherwise you're going to spend several minutes trying to move your die around to figure out how to cut this out. So let's go ahead and stamp it, and I'm going to stamp it in Early Espresso. Hold it for good contact. Lift it up, and because this is different leveled stamp, you can see that you get some dark and you get some light, but we're also going to add some leaves from the stamp set on top of this. Now we're going to go ahead and line up our die, and I stamped it this way where I had my marks, so I know that I'm going to line it up exactly this way, and there we have it. We just turn it just a little bit, and we didn't have to spend any time to line it up. So let me run this through the emboss machine, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have our wreath cut out, and we cut out a bunch of leaves from the stamp set. We love these leaves, and now we're simply going to add them to the wreath. Now, you'll want to make sure that you go ahead and cut out all the colors that you want, so when you get to this stage, you can just put all your leaves on your wreath and not have to worry about it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use our silicone mat, and we're going to add some glue right here. And not to worry, because that will just dry and it will peel right off. I'm going to go ahead and use our wonderful tweezers. Now, if you like these tweezers and you don't have them, you really need to get you a pair. And if you check right below this video in the description box on my favorites, you have a link that you can get these from Amazon. We love these tweezers. We're going to dip it in the glue, and we're just going to put it right there. Now, we're not gluing down everything. We're just gluing the end. And we're going to go ahead and do this with all our leaves. And now we're just going to let this glue sit and dry, and we'll simply peel it off in a little bit. But look at that beautiful wreath. Now we're simply going to add some little gems inside here. I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool and add just in some places around the wreath, just to give it some sparkle. Now we're going to add it to the top of what we cut out. Now, you can add it with dimensionals or you can lay it flat. And I think we're going to go ahead and add dimensionals to the back of this wreath. Now just decide where your top is. And we are going to add a ribbon that you can cut out with this stamp set. It is a beautiful ribbon. Okay, so let's see what this ribbon looks like. Look at the detail in this ribbon. Now we're going to go ahead and just set it up right here. You want to make sure it stays inside this circle. That has to clear this circle that we cut out with our die. So I'm going to use just a mini dimensional right in the center, actually right on both sides of the bow because the center is too small, making sure it stays inside the circle. And now we are simply adding this to the front of our flap, making sure that we line up the edges of that circle. Let's go ahead and get the glue right here. Make sure that it doesn't get anywhere on the card other than the banner. And just hold it for a little bit and let that glue set. It goes down just like this. Now we are going to use a banner for the top of our card. We're going to cut out this banner on Christmas banners, but we're also going to stamp it. And so you want to get the stamp. Let's go ahead and stamp this with our memento. Look at that. And now we're going to stamp just for you. Now we're going to run this through our embossing machine. And look how beautiful that is. Such a pretty banner. Now we're simply going to add some dimensionals to the back. and add that to our card. And look how pretty that card is. Just for you, endlessly grateful. Now, remember I said I'd show you some more cards. Here is the one I showed you earlier. We didn't show you the leaves that we added to this wreath. Now see, we added some leaves to this in different colors, and then we added our beautiful gems around. And then we have another card that we decided to go ahead and really not put anything on the front. This is a Christmas card, and we just stamped our wreath. We didn't add anything to it, and it still looks lovely because of that red bow. And you just open it up and look at that cute saying. That is adorable. And that comes from that very best occasion stamp that we told you about. Let us know in the comments below, which is your favorite, the fall, the Christmas 'tis the season, or this actually looks like camouflage. Looks like our camouflage Christmas. We would love to receive a comment from you. And remember, we are doing gratitude gifts. So we look at comments, likes, and shares, and we will select 2 winners to get one of our cards. So please leave us a comment. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's cards, and we want you to go out and make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.